I would argue that a brilliant solution to the wrong problem isn't just wasted effort, it's a step backward because it gives us the illusion of progress while the real issue remains unsolved. Hey everyone, I'm Justin with The Thoughtful Beard, your home for insights, ideas, and a scally cap. Over nearly 30 years, I've found myself drawn into all kinds of challenges. I never intended to be the problem solver, yet everybody kept coming to me with their issues. And before long, my role at every company started centering on tackling tough situations. But one day it hit me. For all the times I thought I was fixing problems, I was actually just treating symptoms. That revelation rocked my entire perspective on what true problem solving entails. Now, I want to share that insight with you because if I was getting it wrong for so long, there's a good chance many of you are too. By the end of this 5-part series, I promise you will see the world around you in a new light and have the skills to tackle real problems head on, both at work and in life. So without further ado, let's get into it. Actually, let me set some expectations for this series right off the bat. This isn't going to be about how you solve a problem. There's so many resources, methodologies, frameworks, and experts on that topic, and I would not presume to think that I have any kind of revolutionary insights on the topic. There are approaches like PDCA, which is Plan, Do, Check, Act, or DMAIC, which is define, measure, analyze, improve, and control, and 8D, or the 8 disciplines. They're all effective, iterative, and structured approaches. I'll provide links to more details on each of these 3 frameworks included in the description below. However, all of them start with a fundamental assumption that you know the problem you want to solve. And that's the fallacy that we're going to address in this series. You don't suck at problem solving because you don't know or can't learn the proper approaches to solving problems. You suck at problem solving because you're using effective problem solving frameworks to solve the wrong problem. So, with that caveat out of the way, let's start with the basic premise that drives the rest of our series. The cost of solving the wrong problem is high and full of waste. Solving any problem requires some combination of time, energy, money, and people. Depending on the problem, it could cost a significant amount of any or all of those things. But that's just when looking at the problem or symptoms individually. As a whole, the costs compound and introduce more nefarious impacts. First is the erosion of confidence. Second is the loss of capacity. And third is the damage to morale. Let's talk about what I mean by the erosion of confidence. One of the distinguishing traits of a symptom over a problem, which we'll discuss in more detail in a later video, is that symptoms come back after you solve them. Obviously, because you didn't address the root problem. Repeatedly spending time, energy, money, and people's time on problems that keep coming back begins to potentially cause you to question your own ability to solve the problem and ultimately cause others to question as well. Now, when I talk about a loss of capacity, I'm referring to the finite limits of our time, energy, and resources. While many people believe that they can multitask effectively, myself included, studies show that multitasking actually reduces efficiency and impairs decision-making. Even if we assume some expanded capacity that comes from multitasking, it's still limited. Whenever you use that capacity to solve the wrong problem, you're not only wasting effort, you've actually consumed finite capacity that you'll never get back, potentially missing a critical chance to address the right problems. Lastly, repeatedly solving the wrong problem causes damage to morale. As we discussed earlier, the erosion of confidence that inevitably happens is extremely discouraging. Expending capacity, energy, and time to solve problem after problem that doesn't result in realized value leaves you feeling unmotivated, demoralized, and eventually burned out. I would argue, therefore, that if you're finding yourself routinely unfulfilled, discouraged, or unappreciated in your personal or professional life, it's not necessarily because you chose the wrong career or life partner. It's not because you're not qualified or smart enough. It's fundamentally a result of your inability to identify and solve the right problems. But it's not all doom and gloom. Let's flip to the other side of that coin. Because identifying the right problem, which you will be well on your journey to do by the end of this series, can be a game changer for personal fulfillment and professional success. Just like the cost of solving the wrong problem had 3 major impacts, so does the ability to identify the right problem. First is lasting impact. Second is stakeholder alignment. And third is confidence growth. When you solve a root problem, you not only address the one or more symptoms that have been identified, but you also have a lasting impact in that you prevent the symptoms from ever coming back. On top of that, if it's the right root problem, you not only have eliminated the pain that those symptoms have caused for good, but you've created value in its place that will continue on. We'll discuss the role and place of stakeholders in the problem identification process later in the series. But another of the distinguishing traits of a symptom over a problem is that they're subjective, meaning that all of the various stakeholders in the perceived problem experience them differently and thus have differing degrees of impact and pain. When you've identified the right root problem, which we will see also means correctly identifying the correct stakeholders, everyone's in agreement. Everyone knows what they're aiming at, and there's less confusion and conflicting priorities. Lastly, if solving the wrong problem repeatedly erodes confidence, repeatedly solving the right problem builds confidence and sets up a cycle of success. The more problems you correctly identify and subsequently solve, more problems will become apparent to you that need to be addressed, resulting in greater personal and professional fulfillment, increased motivation, and an overall sense of purpose. Now that's much better news, right? So now you might be thinking to yourself, Justin, that's all good in theory, but that's just a lot of words. I still don't get it. Don't worry. It'll continue to make sense as we progress through the series. But let's see how it plays out in real life. Now, I'd like to introduce you to the ACME Corporation, who has been receiving an increasing number of tickets from customers reporting bugs. All of the product engineers are working as hard as they can to follow up on and fix the issues identified in the tickets, but they can never seem to catch up. The marketing team escalates to the CEO that no new product features are being released, and therefore they're losing traction in the market against their competition. Not good. The CEO of ACME Corporation calls the management team together and lays out the problem he needs. Figure out how to get them refocused on building new products immediately and get back to me with a plan. By this point, you should already be able to see that the engineering resources not having the capacity to work on product releases isn't the root problem. It's a symptom. However, you can probably predict exactly how this is going to go. That's the problem the management team is going to tackle. They'll hire more engineers, maybe designate a separate team to focus on the bugs to help manage the customer support load, and start the product feature factory back up. The reality is that will address the immediate symptom for a short time, but ultimately the result will be that more features will result in more new bugs that need to be addressed, and 6 months from now, a new request to grow the staff will come. Eventually, it'll become unsustainable, and the CEO will start looking for who he needs to replace to get the problem actually solved. However, let's say one of these managers actually recognized that this was purely a symptom and started digging, uncovering that the root problem was actually the development process itself that allowed so many bugs to be introduced undetected. By getting buy-in from everyone involved and investing in solving that problem, the defect count rapidly decreased, and so did the tickets, and therefore the load on the support organization. The engineering team started turning out new features with a renewed vigor, and the ACME Corporation regained significant market share, all the while saving the cost of hiring unnecessary employees. The next time there was an efficiency or productivity-related symptom, The CEO went directly to this manager to get it fixed. That is the power of correct problem identification. Because remember, a problem well defined is a problem half solved. Now, in our context, this might have seemed like an overly obvious example, but I can tell you from personal experience that way too many companies go down the first road. So, as we wrap up this first installation in the series, take heart. Over the next 4 videos, we'll explore how to identify real problems effectively using tools and frameworks that'll keep you from throwing money and morale down the drain. We can break down the remaining videos as symptoms versus root causes. This will focus on how to tell if you're looking at the tip of the iceberg or an actual issue. Systematic frameworks. This will discuss simple methods to peel back layers and isolate the real drivers. Thirdly is going to be a validation checklist. This will present a series of questions or challenges that you can use to ensure that you've truly nailed the problem before investing in the solution. And then the fourth one is going to put it all together. This will take the topics from the previous 4 videos and put it together in an actionable way that will let you go back into the world of problems with a brand new perspective. Who knows? Maybe there'll even be some bonus videos afterwards. If you found this useful, please like, subscribe, and share it with anyone that you know who's tired of spinning their wheels on the wrong problems. Let's keep growing and learning together, one scally cap at a time. Thanks for watching The Thoughtful Beard, your home for insights, ideas, and a scally cap. I'm Justin, and I'll see you in part 2.